Hi, are you able to hear me? Great stuff.
Yeah, just fine.
Great. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Let me just get my slides loaded. All right, I'm hoping that you can see the slides that are shared on my screen at the moment. Great, so it's the top of the hour, so I'll get started. Welcome to today's group conversation. It's about Geo. My name is Rachel Nienaber, and I'm the engineering manager for Geo at the moment. So this is what the Geo feature is in a nutshell. It provides a mirrored instance of a GitLab instance at a secondary location that can be installed anywhere in the world. All of the Git information, all of the projects, the entire instance is available in a secondary location so that users that are in different areas of the world have closer access to that instance. It reduces the latency for those users, which is a vast improvement over the latency that would be incurred going back to a server that's much further away. Many customers also use this as a disaster recovery mechanism because of the ability to copy data quickly and easily and keep it in sync. We've also updated our diagram that shows a bit more about how Geo works. So I'd encourage you to go through this after the call at your leisure. And if you have any questions, please do get in touch with the Geo team. But we updated this to show in a bit more detail what's happening and how there are different layers of the replication that's going on. The primary way that this works is by Postgres streaming replication to the secondary node. All of the data in the database is available at the second location. And we have a geo-tracking database to keep the information in sync as to what we've already pulled across. When we notice that some data has changed, we then execute a pull request to go and pull any data that's not stored in the database across to that secondary location. And many thanks to the people that have been involved in updating this. We've been trying to make this as easy to read as possible. And if you have any feedback, please do let us know. This is the team at the moment. On the left, you can see the team members, the engineers and myself, and on the right are the stable counterparts, our UX person and our product manager. And we just wanted to put together a map of where we all are in the world, since we're quite disparate. Quite appropriate for the Geo team as well, I think. Right, so since our last update, which was done in November, we've been quite busy, even though the 11.7 was low capacity being over the festive season. We've only 3 issues left to complete our epic on hash storage. We've also tried to do all the follow-up tasks at the same time so that we don't have any debt from this project left behind. We're also rolling this out in production. We're very close to having that done, but there's more detail on a following slide. Next up, we also resolved a problem that previously prevented us from rolling out the reliable feature on production. All of that's now been resolved, and we'll be ready to put that onto the staging servers in the next week or so with the help of the production team. We do have one more issue that prevents us from putting it on production, but we're getting that resolved as well. Getting it onto staging will help us understand what we need to do next. We've also been addressing security issues in preparation for the security review that's scheduled to happen in March. We then finished off the feature to constantly re-verify the repositories. Now, what was happening is the user can initiate a re-verification of repositories to check that any repos on the secondary location or on the secondary node are up to date. But sometimes things can go out of sync, and we'd like the verification to happen in an automated fashion in the background so that the users don't have to forcibly re-verify things. They can still do that, but at least things are happening automatically. We've also closed a variety of smaller bugs or smaller issues that come up as we are working on the larger features. So looking forward to 2019, a big feature for us and a big value that we're going to be looking at is collaboration. We're looking to support the production team as they complete the rollout of hash storage. At the moment, all new projects that are created and all projects that are currently on the GitLab.com or GitLab.com or GitLab.org namespaces are already using hash storage. What we need to do now is migrate all of the other repositories that are on GitLab.com over. So we have one last step to complete, and then we will finally be there. And many thanks to the production team for helping us get this rolled out. They've been very supportive in helping us achieve this. We're also looking to eliminate any blockers for using Geo as part of the disaster recovery strategy for GitLab.com. Geo, while it does provide an entire copy of everything, it shouldn't be considered as a complete disaster recovery solution, because there are many different facets of disaster recovery. This is going to enable GitLab to have all of its data available in a second location. If anything were to happen to that first location, we'd be able to pick up very quickly and not lose data. So there's a number of things that we need to do to get that done, but we're working very closely with the production team to enable and monitor it. And you can follow the issues as I've listed I've provided both of the issue links here if you would like to follow the rollout of that. Then, as I said before, the security review is booked for March. We previously had a security review last January, and since it's undergone quite a lot of change, we'd like to have security review it again, because we want to be sure that our data is safe before we roll this out. Finally, we're also placing a very high importance on collaboration with the technical account managers. We've got some very interesting customers that are using Geo. Drupal is a new Geo customer as well. And we want to make sure that we're giving our customers the best support and the best experience of using Geo. A lot of times disaster recovery can be quite a stressful thing, especially if there's stressful situations leading up to that. And we want to make sure that it's really easy to know what's happening and know how to make changes using Geo. Further looking forward to the rest of this year, I've put together a brief summary of what's available on our product vision page. This is just showing what we're looking at for the first 2 quarters of this year. So the first quarter, our focus on is preparing Geo for GitLab.com. 2 of the things I've not previously mentioned here are supporting GitLab pages and providing some more enhancements for selective sync. So selective sync is being able to choose which namespaces or which shards are synced over to the secondary node. Supporting GitLab pages is also something that some of our customers have requested, and GitLab.com being one of the most important customers having requested this feature as well. So we'll be looking to get that done. In the second quarter, we're then going to focus on reducing the effort to install, configure, and maintain the nodes. There are a number of different pieces that go into that, and I've provided links to 2 of the epics listed here. The rest of these epics, we're still looking at what all is involved to be able to do that. But the focus for the quarter being reducing the effort to get this administered. Oh, sorry, there's one more point there. We do have these near-term goals in terms of Geo for GitLab.com, easier administration, but we're also looking at the further term future of Geo to understand where we should be taking the product and what type of services we should be supplying. So we're also researching some larger ideas around what we could do and where we could take this product. So I've linked 2 of the issues here where we're looking at the long-term future and some ideas surrounding service discovery for use it with Geo. As we progress on these, we'll be sending out more information and keeping people up to date as the ideas that we have. But it's very important for us to be looking forward and doing different kinds of research, because we may run into certain limitations with the way that the system is built at the moment, and we just want to be prepared for what our options are and what changes we may need to make in the future. So that was a quick summary of where Geo is at the moment, and I would welcome any questions. I'm going to also stop the share now, just so that it can facilitate the conversation. All right, so are there any questions?
Rachel, first of all, thank you for making your presentation editable, like a great example for other people. And there was one link in there that you updated with a merge request, and I was able to point it to the new destination for you. So thanks for that. I saw a proposal to use Console, and I linked my comment. Console is great technology by HashiCorp, but the etcd is the CNCF project for this, and used by Kubernetes. And I wonder why the title seems that it's already settled on console. Shouldn't we keep an open mind and like try to be as cloud native and Kubernetes embracing as we can?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're definitely right. So I'm getting another link for you here. So initially we started talking about this in terms of using console. And one of the things that a concern that was raised is we do need to be sure that this is the right, or this is a practical solution for what we want to do. But as part of researching console, we do need to research what other options are out there, because we shouldn't be settling on this as the solution if we haven't looked at all of the other pieces. So we created another issue, which I will link to here, which is to go one step back and actually look at service discovery as the challenge, and look at the different solutions that are provided as to what the right answer to this should be. So what we can do is we can add this to the list of things that we'll be researching and that we'll be looking into, and then we'll be able to have a proper balanced discussion about the different advantages and advantages and disadvantages of each of the solutions.
Yeah, and I think they're both good. I looked at them recently. They have about an equal number of commits, so they're about as good. I think console is more easy to use. However, you can imagine a future with things like crossplane, where we do not run our own system, but we use Kubernetes as the store that tells us where everything is. And in that case, Kubernetes is going to that API might be more similar to etcd. It might not be. I don't know. But I think we should look ahead in a few years what's going to have the most momentum. And I think the CNCF and Kubernetes are leading there. Thanks for that. I saw the thing about the future of Geo, where we're going next, and I love that. And I think this is one of the groups where engineering is very much in the lead, and product management is not as instructive as in some others. So great to see you taking that up. I'm pretty passionate about object storage for Git repos, which means storing all Git repos in object storage, and then just retrieving them when you need to do an operation on them, with about 90% of them only in object storage. This would mean great cost savings and potentially reliability savings. And that seems to me something that Geo, that would be very much intertwined with Geo, because basically it means that in Geo, everything is an object storage. As you replicate from the primary to the secondary, you can just replicate just object storage and the database, and that's it. You no longer have to do this file replication. Is that something on your radar?
I do remember reading one of the issues that was about this exact thing. I think that you had either created the issue or that you had commented quite intensively on that issue. So this will definitely be something that we're looking at as well. The purpose of having that larger, broader issue that wraps everything is we want to consider all of these different types of possibilities for what we should be doing in future. So that's definitely something that we'll be looking at.
Thanks.
Thank you. I see a question there from Adam. Will Geo ever support a writable node? That's also one of the things that we're busy researching at the moment. A lot of our customers have been asking about having writable nodes and writable secondaries. And because a lot of customers are asking for it, it's something that we want to understand how we could provide this. So I want to say that the answer is yes, but I also want to add, but I'm not sure when. So as soon as we have more information, I'll be able to link to an issue in a future group conversation.
Yeah, as somebody who's done, I'm Ben, I work on the monitoring group. As somebody who's done large, wide area database and geo-distributed stuff before, it's not an easy thing to solve, like planetary level replication. If you're familiar with the Google Spanner database, it's not something to be taken lightly. And I know we're working on easier replication of the Git objects with Gitaly, but the database side is going to be a much harder problem.
Yeah, there's definitely some hard problems to solve with this. We also have the challenge where certain customers only want to replicate certain projects to different nodes and then have those as writable in certain locations and not other locations. So that's why we've decided to take a step back and just think about the problem as a whole and think about this in a different way rather than looking at this is the way that we do this now. How would we shoehorn these options into what we have versus is there maybe another way that we should be thinking about this that would provide us with a few more options for supporting these difficult problems. So it's definitely something that we are trying to not underestimate. We definitely recognize it's going to be tough, but that's part of what we're trying to explore at the moment is how do we tackle something that's as challenging as this. Great. Are there any more questions?
I want to share something that now that Geo seems to be on the right track, it's remarkable how we can treat our database as a single source of truth. And that makes a lot of other things easier where we don't have to do a lot of things in other systems. You have this amazing database that is like asset compliant and you can do the hard changes there, and then the rest of the application should kind of rely on that. We tried a different design with Geo first, and that was a nightmare because you're basically starting to write your own database, which is a horrible idea. And I love how we embraced when we changed it to embrace the database. A lot of things became easier, and I hope we can keep that going as we make GitLab do more things.
Yeah, when I joined and I started doing the reading about how Geo worked, I was also impressed at how simple that is as a solution. It's such a simple thing to just make use of all of the existing replication strategies and replication techniques that are built into Postgres itself in order to take all of this data across to a second location, and then building the queue mechanism on top of that to be able to get all of the other data that's not included in the database. It makes it such a simple way of solving this challenging problem. So a challenge for us going forward is keeping a simple solution, but solving increasingly difficult problems.
Yep. Well, I take full credit for that design, and I'm not even kidding. And I think with the active, we should probably think in that direction too. Like you basically want a local lock on like I'm the one updating this right now. If you can probably get that lock on a single database as long as you can push to a local node, because that's where the speed comes in. Like the speed of light is not a problem. It's like the bandwidth to the node for the push. So if I can get a lock, if I can change kind of the primary in the database, that might be a way to solve that problem.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, there are a couple of different ways to solve it, but we need to just spend some good time putting together prototypes for the different options that we have to make sure that we're going to go down the right path. So it might be slow going to get these prototypes together and to perform this research, but I think that it's quite necessary to do it to make a good choice here.
Yes, that's a big mistake, which I also take full credit for. When we made Geo, we did our normal pattern. And what we should have done is we should have built a few prototypes. We should have said we're explicitly in exploratory phase. We're just going to try 3 different methods and see what kind of is the easiest to code and what seems like a clean architecture. We didn't do that. We tried to do it in our head and then pick a path, and we picked the wrong path. I'm not responsible for picking the wrong path. I am responsible for not saying, hey, this is different. This is super hard. We should be in prototyping mode for a while. And that's quite different than anything else we do at GitLab. So it's great to see that you do recognize that and you take the time to prototype and experiment a bit. That's really, really important when something is research. Like most of the things at GitLab are development. This tends to be research.
No, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I definitely agree that there is a huge research component to this, and we need to be balancing that research against the near-term goals and making sure that we're looking at the right things, but also not neglecting the work that needs to get done now. We just have to find the right balance there for the work. Great. Are there any other questions today? There don't seem to be any other questions, so I'm going to say thank you very much for your time today, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.